Okay, job analysis and job design. So job design is that whole activity, where we design a job according to the need and requirement of the firm. Yeah.
So the screen is not visible. We are still in that LMS page.
Okay, I'm coming to that. Yeah, thanks for telling me that. Yeah, good. But I've got to look at two screens. Now it's visible. Uday?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Yeah, good. Well, the audience in the offline class, they are able to see the screen, but I was under the impression that it is visible. Now that you can see?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
good,
sir.
good, great.
Yeah.
So job design and job analysis. This is going to be that foremost activity that's very, very important in the HR function. Okay. So job design is a systematic process by which we are going to be designing a job, creating a job, right? According to the need and requirement of the organization. You don't create a job just out of thin air. You create a job only because the organization has a requirement. Because there are goals, plans, and some actions and activities that we have to do as part of our business. So if those activities have to be executed, then we require jobs to be created. And then we need to bring people to do those jobs. Only when those jobs are done, do we get a certain output, and that contribution is going to become a product or a service, and then whatever we are going to give or sell to the customer and the client. So that's why it's very important to make sure that you are streamlining this entire process very consciously and very systematically, understanding how we go about creating a job. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing, and all of you are already familiar. The job analysis has got two components. What are the two components?
Job
Very good.
description and
Job description, job specification. Fantastic.
specification.
Yeah. So the job description and job specification together is called job analysis. So job analysis, job description, specification may sound like three concepts, but job description and specification together is called job analysis. So whenever we are asking you a question on job analysis, it means you have to write about both the explanation for description and the explanation for specification. Okay, so what is the meaning of job analysis? Alina, can you read what's on the screen?
The procedure through which you determine the duties of positions in the organization and the characteristics of the people to hire for them.
Okay, what are the 2 points that I've highlighted? Janani, what are the 2 points that I've highlighted?
So duties of positions and characteristics of the people.
Okay, so duties of positions, you get it from where? Which
So
component
job
of the job analysis gives you the duties of positions?
Job descriptions,
Yeah, characteristics of people.
job specification.
Okay, so that is what I meant. So when we talk about job analysis, we're talking about two components. The two components are job description and job specification, right? So that is the procedure. So job analysis is a procedure by which we are deciding the duties of positions as well as the characteristics of the people who are the people who are going to come and take up and do these jobs, right? A systematic way of determining which employees are expected to perform a particular function or task that must be accomplished. So what is the task or job or activity that we have created in the organization according to the need and requirement? So which individual is going to come and do this job, right? So within the organization, we understand one individual or one team or one department cannot do the whole thing. So job is created on the basis of decentralization or division of labor, right? No one individual does the end-to-end of the job. A to Z is not done by one individual. A to Z is not done by one team alone. There are multiple individuals at multiple levels of the organization, and there are multiple teams and departments. So each of them have a specific job because we design jobs on the basis of division of labor. So that one individual will do one piece of work and that individual will do that correctly, systematically, accurately. So I will continue to do. So that's where when you look at the jobs in the HR discipline, right? So for example, if you have an HR trainer, the HR trainer is only an HR trainer, will only take up all activities or duties that are related to training. The trainer is not going to do performance appraisal or is not going to be a part of the compensation and benefits team. So somebody who's a job analyst will only be an expert or will only do job analysis. So somebody who's doing the job of a recruiter, somebody whom we've hired for the role of a recruiter will only do recruitment. So this is how we have, decentralized, and this is how we have divided jobs according to various functions. So in the HR department, there is need for somebody to write the job analysis, for somebody to do the recruitment, for somebody to do the selection, for somebody to do the training and development, for somebody to do performance appraisal, compensation, and so on. But not everything is done by one individual or by a particular group of people. So we design jobs, and then each individual or teams are brought in and they do it. And then what we do together, the collective output or outcome of what is done by the job analyst or the recruiter, selector, trainer, performance appraiser, and the compensation deliverer, all of that is put together, and that becomes the output of the HR department. So if each job is to be divided individually, is to be crafted or designed individually, first thing. Then if every job has to do something which is going to be the input to another job, like how we said, one individual or team writes the job analysis for all the jobs. So whatever they do as the output, and if they think that they've written a very good job analysis, that becomes the input for the recruiter. So the recruiter cannot do recruitment unless and until they have the job analysis data with them. So it works like that. And unless and until the recruiter has completed the task of bringing candidates and then having them to apply for the jobs in the organization and CVs have piled up, the selectors cannot go ahead with their selection rounds. So every job is dependent on each other. So if the selector, recruiter, trainer, performance appraiser, if they all have to do their jobs perfectly, then the previous job which is going to give them the data will have to be done properly. That's why it's very systematic, very conscious, very thought-oriented kind of a responsibility to write the job analysis. As we've rightly said, that only when we write a very good job analysis will it become a feed-forward data for all the other functions. Every other activity in HR can go on very smoothly once we have been able to do this. So that's why there is a lot of time and effort that we have to put into this. That's job analysis. So it is a purposeful, systematic process for collecting information on the important related aspects of a job. So what does it mean? If we're going to write a job analysis, we cannot write a job analysis on the basis of one's imagination. So we say we decide that we need to create this job or design this job on the basis of need and requirement of the organization as part of the organizational plan. The organization has a plan, and if that plan has to be fulfilled, jobs have to be created and people have to be hired. Correct? But what is the content that we're going to write in the job analysis is something that we cannot assume. We cannot assume, nor can we imagine and write. It needs to be written on the basis of data or information that we collect about the strategy of the organization, about the plan of the organization, about the department in which this particular job is to be done, and what information is going to be done by a particular job that is going to become the feed forward data for somebody who is going to take up the next task. So that's why information or data needs to be collected real time, and we should not go on the basis of imagination. Third, it's a process to identify and determine in detail the particular job duties and requirements. You've got to write everything in detail. Right? What we call it the job description. Write down what are all the various duties. Right? And what is the requirement? What is this individual got to do if those duties are to be completed or accomplished? And then the relative importance of these duties to the job. So which means the most important tasks have to be put up. If you're going to design a job, what are the important duties of that particular job that needs to be written clearly? And it's a process where judgments are made about data collected on a job, right? So when we are gathering data about what is the need, why do we need this job, in which department is this job going to be, what is the duty that we need to include in this job? Is this duty done by somebody else in another job, right? What information or data or resource is required for doing this job? Will this person in this level be able to do this job? And then whatever is the output that they are going to do, to which particular job and which particular department is this output going to go to. We've got to get all of those details. And then we've got to analyze those details. Got to analyze it. And then only be able to gather and say, okay, this is what can be included and this is what can be excluded. So that is a very important activity when we write the job analysis. We need to collect information about the need and requirement based on which we're going to write the job. So job analysis is a systematic exploration of the activities within a job. Right? All the various activities that one individual is supposed to do, which is part of the job that we have created. So this analysis involves compiling a detailed description of tasks. Everything needs to be written. Right? Task 1, task 2, task 3, like that you write. Second, determining the relationship of the job to technology, which means what technological aid or assistance is to be given to you if you have to do this job. Like for example, a basic computer or a software would be given to you, right? So what technology, with what technology is this individual going to do the job, right? Third, and with what other jobs is this job related? So you've got to keep the other jobs that are also going to be working alongside the job that we are creating. Like how when we say, when we write job analysis, we keep the responsibility and job of the recruiter. We keep the responsibility and job of the selector. We keep the job responsibility and job of the trainer. Right? So we keep all of these jobs also in coordination when we are writing. Because we cannot write a job analysis in isolation. We've got to write the job analysis along with the rest of the other jobs that are going to be taken up. Then, what qualification do we need? So what should be the basic qualification for somebody to write this job? What skills would they require? What experience would they require? What knowledge would they require? And what employment standards? Employment standards. Like for example, when we say we want individuals only a first class to apply, that's an employment standard, qualification standard. Or when we say we need individuals with a minimum work experience of 5 years, that's a qualification standard, employment standard. Right? So that is there. And accountability. What is accountability? So who is this person going to be responsible to? Who is this person going to be accountable to? Accountable is to report, to know who you are going to report to. Who's your supervisor? Who's your team leader? Who's your project head? Who's your immediate supervisor or boss to whom you have to report? From whom you are going to take orders and instructions, whom you have to go back and report and say, sir, I've completed my job. And other incumbent requirements, everything else that is going to be related or part of your job. So it's a very, very crucial function, as we say. You look at the several things that we are looking at. We have to include the detailed description of tasks, not just writing it in one line that this is your job. You've got to write the description in this job, what we are expecting. Determining the relationship of the job to the technology, right? With the use of technology, how are we going to use? And in which department is this job going to be? Which are the other jobs with whom this particular job is going to be connected with? And what is the knowledge, qualification, experience, skill, employment standard that is required? And then who is this, to whom is this particular job going to be accounted? And then any other additional requirement that is there to make sure that this job is going to be done well, we will have to write all of it. Right? Everything has to be written in black and white so that whoever is going to apply is going to go through all of this, and then only they will decide, am I capable enough of doing it? Can I do this job? So when this information is circulated outside, when you're calling for vacancies, you circulate the job analysis information. What you see in your recruitment advertisements or in the text that you give out to your HR consultants or recruiters, you are actually giving a copy of the job analysis. So that the recruiter and whoever is the consultant who is going to reach out to candidates, they will tell the candidate, look, you are, this is the vacancy that has come in this particular organization, and these are the duties. Will you be able to do? These are the qualifications. Do you have those qualifications? Do you have those skills? And will you be able to take up that job? So the candidate becomes very clear. When I read the job analysis, I understand, can I do this? Have I studied this? Have I done something like this? Do I have those skills? Do I have the attitude? I become clear. Only when I am confident, I will apply. Similarly, recruiter, consultant, and every other exchange agency agent that you're looking at who's going to be, finding out the right candidate is also going to ask the same thing. So everybody is very clear. That is why you have to write it in black and white. If you write it partially, if your job analysis is incomplete, if you write it in one line and you leave it to people to imagine, then it gives rise to a lot of confusion. Somebody says, I didn't know that this is what I was supposed to do, because in my previous organization, this is what I was doing. When this particular line of task was written, in my company, they were asking me to do only this. I didn't know that I had to do all of this. So all this unnecessary confusion comes up once we get people on board. So that in order to avoid all that, make sure that you write all of that in black and white. Even if it goes to 1.5 pages also, it's fine, but it's always better that you write so that everybody knows clearly what they are supposed to do. All right, so job analysis indicates the activities and accountabilities the job entails. It is an accurate recording of the activities involved, which means all the jobs and tasks that you are going to be accomplishing or doing. It involves studying jobs to determine what tasks and responsibilities they include. The first aspect, that first component of writing a job analysis is writing task and responsibility. Task is, the function that you are supposed to deliver. Responsibility is giving you the power to do it, making you in charge. That is a responsibility, so that you are aware that I only have to do it. Right. Second, their relationships to other jobs. So this also has to be mentioned in the job analysis. Which are the other jobs with whom you are going to be working with whom you have to liaison with which other jobs you have to network. And then the conditions. Where are you going to do it? It has to be specified. Right? Some companies say you have to be working in the showroom, or you have to be working on the shop floor, or in today's context, we have work from home. It's a condition. Your job, or if you're in sales and marketing, they may say you have to be traveling to meet customers and clients, or you're doing in-house selling, or you're doing telecalling. So what are the conditions under which you are going to be performing this job? It has to be written. Then tools and equipments that you require. What are the tools, equipments that you would require? Technology, resources, software that you are going to be using while you're doing your job, and your personal capabilities. Knowledge, attitude, qualification, skill, experience, aptitude. Right? So what are the basic personal capabilities that are required for somebody to perform a job to a satisfactory manner? So when you write a job analysis, all of these will have to be written properly. Job analysis produces information for writing two things. Job description, a list of what the job entails, and job specification, the kind of people that we need to hire for the job. So please be very clear about this. Right? I said job description has, job analysis has two components, two parts. Job description and specification. Together, JD and JS together is what we call as job analysis. So when we are asking you to write the job analysis, you are going to be writing the description and the specification in total. Good. What is job description? Let me have somebody in class to read this for me. All right, Farzi and Sunil, can you read the meaning of job description? What do you see on the screen? Farzin, can you hear me and can you read this? Okay, Swati Vikraman.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, can you read the job description?
Yes, sir. Job description. It is the principal product of a job analysis. It represents a written summary of the job as an identifiable organization unit. Job specification also, sir?
Yes, go on.
Okay. Job specification. It is a written explanation of the knowledge, skills, abilities, traits, and other characteristics necessary for effective performance on a given job.
Okay, so that's clear. So job description is the principal product of a job analysis. So it represents the written summary of the job as an identifiable organization unit, which means a job is a part of your organization. It's a unit of the various jobs that we have in the organization. It's a unit that we are having. So there are likewise, what we do is we create jobs. Right? One job we create, and then according to the need and requirement, we create multiple jobs in various departments, in production and operations, sales and marketing, HR, research and development, finance and accounting, and so on. Then what we do, the second important task is all of these jobs have to be connected to each other. So we group jobs according to various functions. All the production and operations related jobs will be grouped or categorized into the production and operations department. All the sales and marketing related jobs will be classified, combined together, and put into the sales and marketing department. All the HR related jobs are connected because they're all dependent on each other, interconnected. Once we do departmentation, what do? We are going to identify hierarchy. So that is why we create the organization structure. Which job needs to be put into the strategic level, which job needs to be put at the tactical level, which job needs to be put at the operational level. For deciding which job needs to be put into which hierarchy, you need the job analysis. Without the job analysis data, it is not possible for you to decide the hierarchy. Right? So you do that. Job specification, a written explanation of the knowledge, skill, ability, trait, and other characteristics necessary for effective performance of the job. So for doing this job, what are the various requirements in terms of knowledge, skill, attitude, and other abilities that we are looking at? So all of this is very essential component of the job analysis part. So when does an organization carry out? Yeah, this is important. When do you need to write the job analysis? What are the circumstances during which you're going to be writing the job analysis? All right, Melvin Matthew, can you read the 3 circumstances?
When job analysis is carried out, when an organization is started.
Okay.
When changes occur which require new methods and procedures in performing the job. For example, introduction of new technology.
Okay.
Third one, when a new job is created.
All right, very good. Okay. All right, so let me go to Uday. Uday?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Uday, can you give me an understanding of that first scenario? You're going to be writing job analysis when an organization is started.
So when an organization is started, when an entrepreneur or a person or a company started, we need to first designate people, sir. Like what are the positions that needs to be there? What is the actual work that the organization is going to do? So based on that, proper job description and job analysis has to be done, sir. Based on that, we start recruiting people, and we first form a documentary, sir. Like what are the positions that's going to be? What are the activities the people who are recruited are going to do there, and of the organization is going to be managed over there.
All right, good. So let me go to Neeraj. Neeraj.
Yes, sir.
In this particular circumstance, so where do you get this data from?
So in the first one.
Yeah, in the first scenario, where do you get the data? I mean, you're a new startup. So from which on which source are you going to decide and say these jobs are what I need?
So I think it's based on requirement, what the company's industry is.
No, it's a startup. It's a startup.
Yeah. So which field the startup has been started. If it's in IT field, then the entrepreneur knows that, okay, these are the people that he needs. And based on the business that he's going to conduct, he has a basic understanding of what's the human capital like.
That's
so
correct. Correct. Where else do you get it? Because very often, sometimes the entrepreneur may not be involved. He may be assisted.
Yeah.
So for a startup, where do they go and see this? That I say, okay, this is what I need to. These are the activities that I need to carry out. Where do you get that idea of these are the activities?
So probably from already established organizations.
Already established. Okay, you get an idea from when you see your competitor, but for your organization, you are doing something very specific, right? Well, what the others do is good for them. It may not be suitable for you. We're talking about a new organization.
So maybe to have a R&D
They might-
research and development team with the company that the entrepreneur is starting, because they will be able to think like what they want to do.
That's correct. But where do you get this idea? Where do you get the source for a new startup? That these are what I'm going to be doing. Where do you see it?
Social media. So maybe social media, like what is happening all around, the competitors, what the other companies that are similar to the startup
That's
is
correct.
doing.
I mean, you can see what is happening in your industry. You can see what your competitors are doing. But where does a startup begin from? Where does a startup get its source from? I'm looking for that. Yeah, very good. Somebody's written that. Okay, Rani Bridget. Company details and writes everything in a particular document called the business plan for a startup. You have to write a business plan because you can't simply go and say something. You write a business plan. So what you have written in the business plan, right? When you write a business plan, we use a model called the business canvas model. It has got 9 components, 9 components in a business plan. Okay. So basically every startup will, as the answer that many of you gave, you will look at your competitors, you will look at similar companies, you look at what others are doing, you will check their website, you will do all of that. That's only to enrich you with some more information and some more ideas. But for you as a startup, what makes your startup different and unique is what you're going to write in your business plan. And it is your business plan that you're going to go and present to investors, to venture capitalists, or to every other set of people that you see in the industry who you want them to support you in your business. So you will go to your business plan. Business plan will give you the idea of the various activities that you want to do in the next 6 months, the next 1 year. So when you make a presentation of your business plan, this is what you're actually pitching. You're telling, we're going to start this particular business. And this business is going to cater to these customers and these clients. And these are the products and services that we have. Right? And since we are starting up, we will not be able to make all the products and offer all the services at the same time. So in the first 6 months, we are concentrating on just one product. So when you say in the next 6 months, you're going to set up. So it is going to take time for you to set up, and you will start with just one product or one service. You will say that. So now what are the job? What is the requirement for just bringing that product for the next in the next 6 months? That one product or one service to be delivered to the customer or the client in the next 6 months. So you may just require 2 or 3 or 4 jobs. So you decide. Then in the next 2 years, we're going to come up with 3 products and we're going to have 2 branches. Correct? So you're writing all that in the business plan. Because seeing what you're writing in the business plan, and after listening to your presentation of how you are going to bring your idea and your business into reality, on that basis is where you're building confidence in your investors and building confidence in all those all those stakeholders whom you want to partner with your business. So you're writing business plan, you're writing job analysis for an organization that is going to start by thoroughly reading the business plan, because business plan gives you the ideas of the various tasks, activities, plans that's going to be carried out in the next few months or in the few years, right? So that's where you will go to that source. Let's look at the second point. So what is the circumstance when it comes to the second point? Okay, Sneha Babu, I'm going to come to you. Can you give me an idea on how we do job analysis in the second point? Rachel Tom.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I'm here. Sir, hello, sir, am I audible?
You're audible. Read the second point and then give me an explanation. When can this happen?
Okay, sir. When changes occur with require new methods and procedures in performing the job. Example, introduction of new technology.
Okay.
That means when a company is following a very traditional and old method, when a most modern technology is introduced, like worksmen's workload will be reduced. They'll feel that they'll get a reduction in time, and also they can save cost.
So just look at that, just that example. We're introducing new technology. Okay, what happens?
Yes, sir. I was telling about that. When we introduce new technology, they get all these gains they get.
Okay, gains you get, but what are you going to do with the job analysis? What's happening to your job when technology comes in?
When technology comes in, job becomes more easy.
Easy. So what should you do? How does your job analysis get affected? Is there a job analysis already written for this job?
It should be like when a new job is created, a new job analysis will be created.
Okay.
Sir.
Second scenario, is it a new job that we're creating?
It doesn't mean that we should make a new job, even like to an existing job also.
Does this job have a job analysis already written, or are we writing something new? Nandan?
So we are writing something new, sir.
You're writing something new.
Yeah, because it's introduction of new technology. Because it is something new, we need new skills, and many people don't know the skills of what are the skills required for the new technology, sir.
Okay. But when we're saying changes occur, when we say changes are occurring and require new methods and new procedures, you mean the whole job needs to be created? If that's the case, then we'll put it in the third point, right? When a new job is created. So I think your answer will go to the third point, Nandan.
Okay, sir.
So when a new job is created, let's say, for example, a new technology is come in, but that cannot be incorporated into any other existing job. No other existing job can do this. So there's no addition that's going to come in. So what we do, we have to create a new job. Correct. So that will go. Your answer will go to the third point. So I'm asking you for the second question: is there a job analysis already written? Alina? So the job analysis is already there. Exactly. Yeah. So what is happening? The second example, second case, there is already a job that is designed. There is already a job analysis that is written. And there's already an individual that we've hired and they are going about doing the job. There is an addition of technology that is coming in. Addition. When an additional technology is coming, we are making a few changes in the way the task is done, because now technology is going to be added along with several other things that you're going to do. Let's give you a good example of that, of what we are doing with the LMS technology, blended learning. As my job, I mean, I was a teacher and we used to conduct those offline classes. Yeah, job analysis was very clearly written. Post-COVID, what happened? We understood the circumstance is not possible. We cannot have offline classes. So we had to bring in a technology to connect me, who's in the college, and then with the rest of you all who are outside. So that technology training, blended learning, LMS training was given to each one of us. And that has now become a part of my existing job analysis. We continue to do all the other activities. So we didn't say we need to create a new job and then get a LMS manager to do my job. No. The same faculty, the same teacher who was teaching you a class in the offline is the same teacher who's teaching you on using the blended learning platform. So we didn't bring somebody, we didn't create a new job as a blended learning tutor. We didn't create or design a job of a blended learning tutor and hire somebody to do it. We didn't do it. So this is a technological addition. So it is going to be an updation or a change in the existing job analysis. So we call this a job redesign. So second area, second circumstance where we're going to write job analysis, especially when there are changes that are taking place. So introduction to technology is one change. I want you to tell me a few other changes that can happen. Spurti. All those people who have not spoken so far can speak now. I'm not going to call out names. Okay, Umi Kubra, Vasavi, Yamini Rajkumar. Tell me one circumstance.
Yes, sir.
Tell me one circumstance where a job needs to get redesigned. Anybody else in class can also answer.
Sir, when the requirement changes.
Yeah, give me one specific requirement. Very good. Okay, Sneha says, okay, when there is a merger. When there is a merger, obviously, companies are coming together, jobs, and there are two departments where you're going to do it. So obviously there is going to be some change. Okay, when there is a merger is a good example. Okay. One more circumstance. Okay, when there are changes in the business environment, more specifically in competition. When your competitor is doing something, now you also have to do something to stop that competitor to running away with whatever they are doing, running away with success. So you have to stop. So we bring in some addition. Just like how we started blended learning, LMS. Several other colleges also may try to copy and say, okay, yeah, they are doing it, so let's also do it. So that is another way by which can happen. Competition can also make you go through a job redesign. One more circumstance.
Like
When
social
Bharat
situation,
was-
like pandemic,
Akila. Yes, Akila.
like pandemic or like any situation
Okay.
that arises.
Pandemic, or when there is an obstacle, when there is a disruption in the normal way of doing it, so we have to do some stopgap arrangement. Okay, that's a good thing. One more circumstance. Okay, any changes in technology? Technology, economic changes. Okay, economic changes. Okay, some slight modification can be done, economic changes, because when we say economic, political, what happens, it's a very big change. For the organization, it has to be more specific. That's why we say these are macro environmental changes. But an organization will respond only when a macro change becomes a micro change. Only then it specifically hits me. So we will not do, just because there is a political change, we don't do. Like, for example, there's a change in the government in Karnataka. Right? There's a new chief minister and a new set of cabinet ministers. But organizations continue to go ahead doing things. They've been doing the same thing what they did last week. They're doing the same this week. No change. Because that's a macro change. You understand? But only when some new minister comes into the ministry and changes a policy that was already there. What we were following earlier, this minister comes and says, no, whatever was done by the previous minister cannot happen. So we are going to change. But there is a specific policy scheme or something specifically is going to change. Then it disallows me. Whatever we were doing earlier, we will not be able to do it. All right, third circumstance, when a new job is created. All those who have not spoken can speak now. Sudhakar is not there. Lekana, not heard you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Third, can you give me the third circumstance when a new job is created?
Sir, when
When
the
does a new job get created?
there's a requirement in the company. So
Okay, there's a requirement. Example?
as example, like
Anybody else can help him. Give me an example give me an example of when a new job gets created. Okay, when services are going to go digital. Okay, that's a good point. When services are going to go get digital, okay. When something was manually done becomes, technologically is now going to be done. What else, Rima? Okay, depending on productivity. Okay.
So when the company expands or organization expands.
Okay, company expands, organization expands when there is new product development or when we are catering to a new need of a customer or a client. Correct. You're trying to offer some product or service to a new customer or client, new segment. So new job. When you're launching a new line of business, right? Or a new product that you're developing, or you're offering a new product to a different segment. In all of these circumstances, it comes. So what's the difference between point number 1 and point number 3? What is point 1, point 3?
One is for a new organization and 3 is for an existing organization.
Okay, so what's the what is the big change?
For one, we have to start for, I mean, we need to write for all the jobs, but for 3, only for specific job that
Exactly.
is created new.
So when you're starting an organization or a startup, you got to write job analysis. You're designing jobs, which means all the jobs are going to be designed according to the business plan. And you're going to write job analysis for all of it. In the third circumstance, it's already an existing organization which already has jobs designed. It already has job analysis being written, but new job is created according to the new circumstance. So which means there is some new need and requirement that has risen because of the strategy of the organization. Now that new need and requirement, that duties and responsibilities now cannot be added to any existing job. If it can be added, it will go to point number 2. With some new thing that we bring in, like this blended learning that I told you, there is no need to create a new job because it's the existing person who will do it. So it's fitted into point 2. But when we realize there is some need and requirement and there is some duty and responsibility which cannot be added or updated or added to anybody else's existing job analysis, then we have to create a new job. That's what's going to happen. So please remember, these are the 3 circumstances under which we write the job analysis. Okay, so I'm going to stop with this now. Any questions, anything that you would want to ask? Any clarification? If you're ready with this, then we can go to the next part when we come back in the next class. Any questions?
Yes, sir. One, sir.
Yeah, Neeraj. Yes, go ahead, Neeraj.
So in the second scenario, would this be a good example of an organization going public after?
Yes, organization is going public. So let's try understanding why is an organization going public?
To raise more capital by giving this out to the public.
Okay, so you need more capital, and then you realize that in that short, in that earlier strategy of raising investment or raising funding is not going to work. Like for example, you were a private limited company, and now you realize that raising funding through private limited or the funds that you receive from your venture capitalist is not enough. You need more money. Why do you need more money? Because you have big plans. Because you're on an expansion mode and you have big plans, and those big plans cannot be funded through money that's coming from a VC or from your own retained earnings, or cannot be funded from a private investment source. So that's why you're going public. So when you obviously go public, you are going public to raise funds from the public through shares, because you have those huge expansion plans. So massive jobs are going to be created at that point of time. That's a good point. You're going to be opening up branches, you're going to be opening up stores, or you will be using that money to acquire. You're going on big expansion mode. So a lot of new jobs. That's almost similar to what you're doing in point 1. A company goes on massive expansion, it is almost like creating a new company. So yeah, that's a good point, Neeraj. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
That's a good point. All right, then, good. There are no more questions, then we can end the class for today. So please reach out to your LMS and then you see what you can do with the task that was given to you. All right. So can we end the class? All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.